Sí. Aquí está para nosotros. Llega ella, no gritando. Acá hay más
That's the wildlife area. That's where the teenagers hang out in the summer. But if you look way over the last hill, you can see a truck or whatever on top. That is called Test Hill. It is the largest hill out there. It's about 200 feet. If you can make it up there with whatever you brought here as a vehicle, you probably can make it up any hill. That's why they call it Test Hill. If you don't know much about our dunes, they start in Indiana, go along this coastline all the way up to Mackinac. They're, for the most part, getting larger as you move to the north. If you go up by Traverse City, Sleeping Bear Dunes, you're going to be in an area where there's 400 to 500 foot dunes versus 200. Now, if you look over here, you see the woods. Animals love these woodsy areas. We have white-tailed deer, fox, bobcat, squirrels, snakes, turtles, hawks, eagles, turkeys, lots of stuff. Rarely do you see them during the day. They tend to stay in the woods. When we leave in the evening and everything, they come out, they run around all over, and then we come back in the morning, they all go back in, and we usually see the footprints, but not footprints today because we've had too much wind. When we end the ride and we go back through the woods, that's another common area to see a lot of things for the potential for them. Now you see a lot of dead trees. Unfortunately, when Lake Michigan flooded 5 years ago, this flooded too, really bad. We had 2 feet of standing water, killed off a lot of the trees, especially the jack pine. So they'll die off and something will rot and then it'll come back to something new, but it's going to take about 50 years or so. So that's going to take quite a while. Now, if you look out there, you see the tops of trees. So what happens if you're in shallow sand, you can get some... All right, if you're like me and you don't like these kinds of things, close your eyes. It goes really quick. I do it all the time.
All right, get ready.
All right, that's Silver Lake. That's about a 600-acre lake. If we would have been here in the 1800s, though, it was much bigger. We would have already been in the water. Shoreline was located over here to your right, but then as the trees were cut down and we had the big fire, the sand started to spread and it started covering parts of the lake. We lost about a third of the lake during the 60 years until they put the grass down. And that helped save the lake from being buried under. So it is still a wonderful lake. It is very shallow, only 25 feet deep in the deepest part. So that means it warms up early and stays warm. We're at 70 degrees on this side. And most of the summer it's 75 to 80. Hard sandy bottom, no muck in the lake, no seaweed, except the deepest parts because the wind blows the sand in it year round, especially winter. Imagine you come here and it would be all iced over, so the sand blows all the way across the lake, and people have to rake their lawns in the spring and get all the sand out. But it covers up 2 to 4 inches, so when the ice melts, all that sand goes down to the bottom, and it helps keep the bottom really nice. But it has to concern with the shallowness over the years. Now, I said that the lighthouse was located over here. That's a pretty little spot to go. All right, this is Streakers Hill for activity. somebody's occurred here in the 70s and 80s, they were totally inappropriate, but not at my age anymore. Favorite beach of all the locals. They love to come out here, pull their boats right up on shore. Usually 20 to 30 boats. They come out here. It's a long walk if you want to come here, so it's kind of like a private beach for all the locals. Giant sand spider. Oh.
Dijo snake, no spider. Oh, ya se acabó.
Great prices, great amount of food. Yeah, it's very fair. Check it out. All right, I hope you enjoyed the first half of the ride. Now, if you look around, you've got to notice that there's a lot of green, and it's really the only color we have out here. The reason for that, again, is the sand. Very porous, very difficult to grow anything out here other than the greenery that's got strong roots and very hardy. The only vegetable that does really well in the sand is asparagus. And this is the asparagus capital of the world here. We have asparagus all over, but we're just finishing our season. So if you like asparagus, you get it here fresh and you get it cheap at this time of the season. So make a check that out. But otherwise, the only color we get here is green until the fall. Then all these leaves will change. Then it is beautiful right at that tail end, late September, early October. Here's the one is really small, about usually 12 inches to 15 inches, called a Gardner. It's very thin. But the other one is scary, but it does not harm anybody, but it can be up to 6 feet long, and it's called a blue racer. And what it does is when it feels like it's being attacked, it will get up and make like it's going to attack you. It's up tall. So a lot of people don't like that one, but those are the two we have in this area. Now on the way out, we didn't lose anybody. That's kind of important. I lost one last Wednesday, so I got to make it through the rest of today so that I can get off probation. That's kind of important when you're on a work release program. So on the way out, that doubles our complaint department. If you got any ideas for improving the ride, I always open ideas. Just step out left or right, come on up, and then we will talk a little bit. Doesn't look very deep, but if you fall in head first, it's over your head, so you do have to be careful.